This episode of Untold Stories is sponsored by Ledn.io. You'll hear more about them later on in this episode. For those who are listening, what is up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am your host, Charlie Shrem, and you're listening and watching Untold Stories, where twice a week together, we get to dive deep with some of crypto's most influential leaders to find out how this movement truly came to be, where we are right now, and where the hell we're going in the future. There's no better guest to tell us, to give us all these answers, to talk to us on this lovely Friday than my friend Lou Kerner. Lou, thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories today.
Hey, Charlie, thanks for having me, and thanks for everything you do for the community. I'm glad I brought my crystal ball here with me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for everything for that you do for the community. We met actually like a few years ago in New York, and Crypto Mondays was already in full swing. And for those who don't know, Crypto Mondays is a global, you're in more than 50 cities, a huge meetup group, but it's become more than that. It's become a basis for how crypto communities start in those cities around the world. And you've written and studied extensively communities, and we're going to talk about how crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain and socioeconomics kind of weaves all through that. But we met, Crypto Mondays was in New York, and then what was so cool was that months later, I was invited to speak at another Crypto Mondays event in like Puerto Rico, and it was amazing. And I'll tell you about that in a moment. But then, I was in LA and someone was telling me about another Crypto Mondays event there. It's like really a global thing. And if that's all you did, and if that's all we talk about, that's great. Thank you for doing that.
Well, thanks a lot. And I'm with you. When I saw the crypto light on June 29th, 2017, I think crypto is infinite. I think it's the biggest thing to happen in the history of humanity. And I think that when everybody sees it, everybody sees something different based on the prism, that they look at the world through. And for me, because I spent a lot of time in and around community, I'd run a company called Bolt from 2003 to 2006. We were the largest social network in the world before MySpace peaked at 23 million kids. And so I'd spent a lot of time in and around community. And so when I saw the crypto light and I got so excited. And, it was only a few months later that we started Crypto Mondays in New York. And literally on the peak market cap day, January 8th, 2018, for 3 years. And we had 300 people at the first one, 350 people at the second, decided to blow it out around the world. And last week, the 65th city launched Crypto Monday, Orange County.
Wow, that's amazing. What are some of the, and I want to get into like your background and things you've done in the past, but I just kind of want to ask you, what are some of the pillars to Crypto Mondays? Because it's more than just a meetup. It's kind of a foundation for that city's local crypto community.
When I started it, the idea was New York would be a great crypto community without Crypto Mondays. I think Crypto Mondays makes it better. But the hope was that we'd start in a lot of cities where they didn't have really strong ecosystems, and so and in a lot of those cities, it is emerged as kind of the major crypto event, and that includes Puerto Rico, it includes Medellin, Barquisimeto in Venezuela has one. Miami's rocks.
Yeah.
And the great thing is the people who start them too. I believe in karma, and these people, the kind of token economics is status in the community. So the woman that started, Erica Gemma, who started Crypto Monday Miami, got hired by the mayor when he opened the blockchain center there.
Oh yeah.
And so it's great. It's a great thing to do for the community. And the pillar is at the core is decentralization. We run the one in New York, and we opened it up and said, whoever wants to can start a Crypto Monday anywhere else in the world. And people started reaching out. And one of the very constant things that happen is, we'll get an email saying, hey, we're going to have our Crypto Monday next week. And we wanted to make sure that it was okay if we do ABC. And our response is, yes, you can do ABC. The only thing you can't do is send us an email asking if you can do ABC. What part of decentralized did you not understand?
Wow, that's such it kind of reminds me of these like business international groups in a way where you're a new painter starting a new painting company or something like that, and you move to a new city, you can join this like kind of business network and everyone helps each other out. but it's more than that. It's like an ideology. It's almost, it's people's church. You know, they come at Crypto Mondays is like where you find your spirituality almost. I find my spirituality in these meetups because, as you know, the conversations that you have very, very quickly get very deep, and you start comparing, you know, and using, I don't know why this is. For some reason, the camaraderie and the brother and sisterhood between everyone is just so beautiful.
That's incredibly well said. When I launched New York, uh, we didn't have any speakers because I thought that the idea was to bring the community together for people to network and talk and share their passion. And we now have speakers in New York, and almost all of them have speakers because a lot more people will come if you have speakers. But in New York, I make sure that the speaking, we do fireside chats, and it's only a half hour because I really believe the majority of the value is the connecting with other people who are as passionate about crypto as you are.
You have a lot of experience that you've been able to bring into our space right now. You're one of the most followed crypto analysts on Medium. You do a ton of writing. There's actually a post that I want to talk to you about called Kerners Law, and how you talk about how businesses scale. And since then, you've actually helped a lot of companies in our space as an analyst, investor, advisor, including blockchain co-investors, a crypto fund of funds, Casper, Props, Silver Castle, and I'm involved in a few of these as well, which is really cool. You're a partner in multiple angel list syndicates that invest in so many projects. So besides for Crypto Mondays, you know, I want to kind of ask you, like, from a personal perspective too. I never considered myself as a venture capitalist, and I was always shying away from VC and investing. But eventually, over the course of your life, you have to invest in your future, and you can invest in your own personal capital just so much. But at some point, you realize that having dollars in the bank is a bad idea, and you have to invest. It's a scary thing to invest. I've made so many bad investments, and now you learn so much, and you help those teams. You learn how to not micromanage. You learn when there are certain times you should step in, or when you should let the universe kind of take its hold. You write a lot about this. You call it Kerner's Law, and it follows like a value delta. What is Kerner's Law?
So Kerner's Law, again, coming back to communities, is the belief that communities can scale highly correlated to what I call value delta. And value delta is the difference between what it costs the community to produce whatever it is that the community members want and what the community members value it at. And the larger that difference is, the larger the community can become. And that's why the largest communities in the world are those things that have the largest value deltas. And we call those religions. Religions create faith at zero cost. And many people value their faith more than their life. I became aware of value delta when I was running both social network, and we had advertisers who were willing to pay us a lot of money to get kids to interact with their advertising, but not enough money that we could compensate the kids to do it. And so we eventually ended up creating something called a badge program. And so when the kids would interact with the advertising and do lots of other things, they'd get a badge conferring status in the community. And it turns out to a lot of people, 10% of our kids would do almost anything to get a badge that conferred this status in our community. Again, free for us to make, but very valuable for some subset of our users.
Wow. So, what do you think are some crypto communities that have this high value delta right now?
Well, look, undoubtedly, Ethereum
Yeah.
is the strongest community in crypto today. And to go to an ETH Denver was really,
Oh my
the
God.
first one
Yeah.
I went to, was really life changing to really see that and see the camaraderie and see how dedicated, thousands of the smartest people in the world are about the Ethereum platform and about being a part of that community, really feeling like they're making the world a better place and really, really deeply believing that. And I think deriving a lot of value from that. And as a result, they're willing to give a lot back to the community.
A lot of people don't understand why a lot of the early people got involved in Bitcoin, why they did when Bitcoin didn't really have any meaningful value to anyone until I'll tell you right now, like people were making money. You weren't making money in Bitcoin, and this was pre everything else until I'll tell you right now, at some point in 2013, early 2013, you're probably okay. Like if you're holding on to these Bitcoin things, they're now making some money. But really, maybe late 2012 or something like that. But really, there was no money involved. So that's like that incentive is out the window. Um, and I can't speak for everyone else, but you alluded to it. With me personally, that's what got me into this was faith and community. Because at the same time that I was discovering Bitcoin, I was being exiled from my whole Jewish world. So I was like very, very aggressively, rapidly seeking another community that would take me in, that wouldn't judge me for my background, who I am, where I came from, how I am, my weirdness, and all that other stuff. And this Bitcoin community was and still is the most welcoming, and our crypto community most welcoming. Like we embrace everyone all the time. And without that, we wouldn't be here today.
I completely agree with you. And and it's part of the community, right? People know who is really contributing and who's doing great things in the community. I think repays those people back many fold.
Money starts to like corrupt communities. As communities, you'd look at a local beach community in middle of Southwest Florida down where I live. A lot of these communities, they don't want any development. They don't want anyone come wealthy people. They want to run themselves. Home rule is very, very strong here. Money corrupts. I see it a little bit in my city where I live because I've lived here for the past 6 years. It was less than 50,000 people living here, and now our full-time population is over 150. It's crazy. And you see it with growth. How can It's kind of a tough question, and I think about this all the time. You look at DAOs, you look at decentralized. We look at decentralized. Wow, I'm forgetting. What it
Autonomous
stands for.
organizations.
Yeah. I'm blanking for a moment. You look at them, and you look at the ability for a community to maintain like a common treasury that they can constantly be voting on to be used for different things. Like the simple thing, like a homeowners association. Homeowners association has a small budget, maybe $100,000 a year, and does different things with it. What if that homeowners ran a small DAO? Do you think between crypto and DAOs and having strong communities that could potentially create better equality and less corruption as like cities and communities grow?
Look, that's certainly the hope, right? We're in the very beginning stages of all of this. I mean, to a large degree, I really think crypto hasn't even started yet. People say, "Oh, it's so overpriced." Everybody I know owns Bitcoin, and my view is, the number of people that owns Bitcoin really rounds to zero. And the things that the problems that we need to solve for as a community are governance and consensus and token economics. So how do you reward people? Today the vast majority has been of our time in terms of rewarding community has been focused on money and giving them money. And in fact, it's very expensive to give people money.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with giving people money at all, except you have to realize that when the easy money goes, the people in your community who are there for the easy money are going to go as well, right? We all saw, how the majority of people left the community
2018.
during crypto winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And nothing is wrong with that, as long as you realize that. But as the tools get better, as governance and consensus gets better, and we could start to run more complex organizations, the dream is that more and more, organizations, whether they're companies or homeowners associations, will start leveraging DAO infrastructures.
It's kind of cool. You brought up Miami and the mayor of Miami. I think so. You have the City Coins project, which is very cool, and under City Coins you have Miami Coin. And I thought Miami Coin was kind of scammy at first. I was like, oh, that's like the simple thing to do: launch a coin, Miami Coin, But I was very wrong because I was doing some of the research. We were analyzing it the other day, and it's kind of like if Mayor Suarez is as smart as I think he is, and I know he is, he has a very long-term vision for this. So right now, Miami Coin is a very simple thing where like you can mine this coin and a certain percentage goes to the miners, but a certain percentage is baked into the code that goes to the city. And that's really it. You can buy the coin, you can mine it, but it's not. But I think the long term, it's made over $7 million for Miami. It's a very significant amount of money. So if that money, right now, it's going to go, and Miami has to probably use that money in the normal process that it spends its money with all its courses and city attorneys and city administrators and yada, yada, yada. But I could see that being a DAO in the future. So freaking cool.
Yeah, I think Citicoins is super interesting. There's a company out of Israel that's been doing this for years called Colib.
Yeah.
It's learned a lot, and I think helped drive real economic activity in a number of cities.
How does like timing play into effect when it comes to investing? Because I keep finding over time that in this space, if you have the wrong timing, even by 6 months, everything will fail. Like someone issued an NFT of me, Shrem Pepe, in 2016. We had non-fungible tokens on Bitcoin trading like this thing on decentralized exchanges on Bitcoin in 2016. But I think the world and the community, we weren't at a place yet, and this is why NFTs are taking off now. Have you seen that in all the course of your life and investing and things like that?
Sure. I mean, I took my first company. So I started my career as a Wall Street analyst. I did that for 7 years. And then my first company was a startup out of the Idea Lab incubator in Los Angeles, run by Bill Gross. And this was the original internet incubator. My company was the 55th company in the Idea Lab incubator at the
Wow.
time. I joined in January of 2000. In February of 2000, he raised $1 billion cash at a $10 billion valuation for the incubator. And he's a genius. And he's started more than 250 companies, 8 unicorns, what I believe to be the greatest business idea in the history of mankind. Paid search was his idea. Google laughed at him, then copied him and executed better, but he sold that to Yahoo
Yeah.
for 1.6 billion. And in any case, he did a data-driven analysis of the more than 250 startups that he's done to find out the key factors driving success for those companies. It's a great TED Talk that you can find, 2015 TED Talk. And he said he called the company Idealex, thought it was all about the idea. And after a couple of years, he realized, no, it's actually all about the management. And then he ran the numbers and he found out that the dominant factor driving success of companies is timing.
Wow. So it's not just it's timing. It's so true. So what would you say to a business that's in the wrong timing but already started? Is it just like survive until the timing is
Yeah,
right for
that's
you?
exactly it. I don't think anybody can time the market. And, I think the first macro lesson I learned when I went to Wall Street, shit, markets are pretty efficient.
Yeah.
Um,
When we allow them to be.
yes, and so I don't think anybody can time the market any more than anybody can know what weather is going to be in 30 days, right? It's just too many factors. And so one of the macro lessons I learned the first go around of the internet, I started my company and it was a rocket ship ride. And we made plans to go public. We got a massive buyout offer, and our bankers said, "Why would you even think about that? When you open and start trading, you'll be worth more than double that." And so I thought, why would I think about that? Well, why I should have thought about it, because the pendulum swung the other way. And the internet crashed, and we ended up selling the company still for a very nice sum, but a fraction of what we were offered earlier. And the mistake I made was, even though I was an equity analyst, I let the markets tell me how much my own company is worth at the top and at the bottom. And at the bottom, I thought, well, maybe the internet's not going to be as big as I thought it was going to be. And that was ridiculous. And so that experience helped me, weather crypto winter, with much more faith and much more belief. Look, we could still be wrong, but the Brock Pierce actually has a great line, which is bull markets are bullshit and bear markets bear fruit.
Oh, that's the best line I ever heard. Wow. So there was a point where you and others thought that the internet may not be as big as it is today.
Well, one of my most read blog posts was from late 2017, where I said the crypto bubble isn't a bubble; it's a dot dot dot. And by any rational means, late 2017 was a bubble. You could see it. We're in a bubble, I believe today. We're in an everything bubble, I believe
Yeah.
today. But anyways, in this post 2017, I showed three slides, three graphs. The first graph was Amazon's share price, 98 to 2000, up 65x. The next was was then extended it out 3 years. So it was a big up, and then it was down more than 95%. And it looks like this massive bubble and this massive crash. And then I extended it out to, that time in 2017. And that massive up and down wasn't, it was just a tiny little imperceptible blip relative to what Amazon had become.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, I have a word that I use to describe the tendency of markets to become bubbles and crash, become bubbles again. And I think the word that perfectly describes that is capitalism.
That's a beautiful thing, and it's just survive. That's the business
Yeah.
motto. Just survive. If
If you're
you're
right, look, if you're wrong, right? If you're building, the horse and
Yeah.
carriage, when the car comes out, you're wrong, then it's never going to be your timing. But if you're right, um, you can't, you're not going to get the timing right. And look, some people get extraordinarily lucky, but if you're right, you'll stick around and wait till it's time.
Guys, we need to talk about how to use your Bitcoin and your USDC to earn you interest and make you more money. To do that, we're going to talk about our newest sponsor, Ledn.io, a much better home for your Bitcoin. They're amazing. They're a secure, simple, and easy to use platform for managing and growing your digital wealth. On Ledn, you can earn interest on your Bitcoin and on your USDC with some of the industry's best rates. Earn 6.1% APY on your first 2 Bitcoin and 9% on all of your USDC. That's right, all you need to do is deposit your coins and you'll receive steady payouts at the end of each month just for leaving your coins with them. 6.1% on Bitcoin is pretty huge. You don't find that same kind of return elsewhere without taking a much greater risk. And 9% on your USDC, think about what kind of rate you'll get if you had dollars sitting in your bank's savings account. Probably almost nothing. If you've got dollar savings sitting around, this seems like a no-brainer. All you need to do to sign up with Ledn is send a bit of Bitcoin or USDC their way, and then sit back and let the interest accrue. So what are you waiting for? Go to untoldstories.link/Ledn to start earning interest on your Bitcoin or USDC today. That's untoldstories.link/Ledn. You're going to love them. Enjoy. You say we're in an everything bubble, and we've increased our money supply, like we've increase the size of the sink that we call temporary stored value of that, which is the dollar. The dollar is meant to be just gas that fuels our economy, the global economy. We've exported our inflation. The dollar, saving the dollar is great, but really the dollar, holding onto the dollar is one of the worst investments that you can possibly have. It's good to have emergency cash, of course, but like, we are in an everything bubble. We've increased the money supply by 25% in the past few years, basically debasing and giving everyone this haircut. How has that affected like the world that we're in? How has that affected crypto? We're still in this world of like just copious amounts of money, public markets, things like that.
Well, I think it pushes up the value of everything, right? That's why we're in the everything bubble. There's more money. People have more money. They can't, they get 0% in the bank, or negative, after inflation around the world, or negative interest
Yeah.
rates in a lot of countries in the world if you put the money in the bank. So people are doing anything but that, right? They're buying whatever they can buy. They're buying real estate, they're buying stocks, they're buying crypto, and so so crypto has really been pretty highly correlated with the stock market, for a while now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe now we're starting to see the decoupling of that just over the last number of days, with Bitcoin's jump, and that's one of the things that's super exciting because as Bitcoin starts to decouple, it also starts to become much more attractive to institutional investors, who long for uncorrelated assets.
Are there any what other assets are there that are kind of like uncorrelated to the stock market? Like, how do people hedge now?
Gold has really been, I think, the traditional asset
Yeah.
used to hedge. And Bitcoin, in my view, is is a store of value today. I think it could be other things over time that could be massively valuable as well. But I think today it's largely a store of value, and it's a better store of value by not by 50% better than gold, but 10 times or 100 times better than gold. Which is why I think it's going to dramatically increase the store of value market, which today is about a $10 trillion market. I see in 10 years, I estimate it'll be a $40 trillion market. And if Bitcoin can get half of that, that's how you get to Bitcoin a million.
There's like an ETF that I want to invest in. I heard about it. It's called BAD, betting alcohol and drugs. I feel like that would be a good. As soon as I read about it in Bloomberg, I was like, that's a great potential invest. I have to look at like who's running it and all the other stuff. I don't know, but it's a great concept because I feel like that'll, as long as the world exists, that will constantly be on a rise, and it'll rise slower when the world is happy, but it'll rise faster when the world is not. So
Hard to argue with that. I recently became a member, bought the NFT, the Knights of Degen, and it's a gambling
I
club.
like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, like, what is the relationship between crypto, gaming, gambling? There's like a huge relationship. Are you investing or looking at any companies, and what's like the future of that?
Sure. Well, when I saw the crypto light on June 29th, 2017, I became of the belief, as I said before, this is the biggest thing that happened in the history of humanity. And, like a lot of other people, I've over my career have been attracted to a lot of shiny objects, which sometimes didn't turn out to be so shiny.
Yeah.
And, I really thought when I saw crypto that this is the shiniest thing that I'm ever going to see. I'm not ever going to see anything that is, shinier than this. And about 6 months ago, I saw something shinier than crypto. I saw the metaverse, and that crypto is going to be massive, massive, massive. But it's massive, as an element of the metaverse. Obviously, it's going to be massive outside of the metaverse too. And all these things come together that you were talking about before, like gaming, in the metaverse. Where you will use crypto and you'll be able to take the assets. Obviously, we're already starting to see that you use in gaming, and you get to own them,
Yeah.
instead of the game owning them, and can trade them outside of the game and use them, in other games. The first ERC20 SEC approved token was Pocket Full of Quarters.
I remember that a few years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like, why are they doing this? It's just a one-to-one gaming token, but they did it to prove a point, I think, and to get something through.
Yeah. Well, also no,
Beautiful
it's
thing.
super interesting company. I actually met the CEO at the second Crypto Monday.
So I want to talk about this term metaverse is thrown around a lot, and I'm trying to understand the difference of the world today versus what like a metaverse is and why it's important and how it's going to change everything. And so help me understand this, and I kind of taking a lot of what I understand from like Ready Player One and things like that. But the metaverse is different from even a virtual reality 24-hour a day video game that you'd go into right now, because the metaverse is not just about the technology that we need to develop to get to that point, but it also, blockchain technology actually solved a lot of the problems that the metaverse needed to have, in that the metaverse needs to be this thing that never rewinds, pauses, fast forwards. It's a constant, just like the timing of the world, the atomic clock, the world spins. You go to sleep, you wake up in the metaverse. It's the day. If that's what's programmed in, maybe a day in the metaverse is different, but the timing is going to be correlated. And what also blockchain technology gave it is that it's not hosted in one place. So when you're now buying a piece of land, you know that the fact that you own this land in the metaverse, or a business, if in order for it to be taken away from you, there's either a due process, or it can't be taken away at all because it's on, publicly timestamped on a blockchain and the data's in there. And furthermore, and this is where you kind of come in with the community, the socioeconomic aspect of it is that if we're comfortable putting our money in places we know we can control. And so therefore, this opens up a whole nother investing paradigm, because now people are not just investing in public markets, they're going to invest in public markets in metaverses. They're going to buy coffee shops in metaverses, and you'll have copyright where if you own a bookstore in one, there will be Supreme Court laws that say that you should have that same brand in another metaverse. Like, that's where we're going. It's crazy.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, right? I mean, take some of the projects now like Zed Run, right, where
Oh
where
yeah.
you buy digital racehorses, breed digital racehorses, race them and win money, and it's got people are very very excited about that, and so it's infinite the number of different worlds that you can create. I don't know if you've heard of Super World. It's another interesting one. Um, uh, and Upland, and those you can
Wow,
actually
Zed World
buy.
is so cool. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, buy,
Do they have a
and
token too?
yeah, yeah, they're tokenized, and then you can actually own like Madison Square Garden, and then
Oh
when
my
people are
god.
in Madison Square Garden, the phone knows that that's where they are, and the person that bought it in Super Rare now, if you Super World, if you are, you can use the Super World thing in Madison Square Garden. That guy can get a cut of the concession stand in Madison Square Garden in Super World.
I
So
have a
right,
metaverse I want to create. If there are any like digital video game designers or any like developers listening, contact me because I have this crazy idea of building like a whole socioeconomic experiment within a game, like just like Zed Run, and it would be so freaking cool. Oh my God, I love where our industry just excites me every single day.
yeah, the future is just so bright, right? We got some problems to solve, but I think we're going to solve them.
I wanna ask you about SPAC. I'm an investor in a SPAC that you're putting together or a sponsor. What does that mean in terms of how our industry is going to be accessing capital for the future? Public
Sure, Charlie.
markets going, yeah.
That's exactly what it's about. So, at Blockchain Co-Investors, we're a crypto fund of fund, and we also do one-off investments. And so, we were first money in more than 10 crypto VCs. So, and we invest very early in companies as well. So we can be there at the very beginning with VCs and with companies and projects, and we continue to invest during their life. And then at the end, obviously, many companies are going to tokenize, but companies that are regulated, I think a lot of them for a while are going to struggle to tokenize, and if they want to access capital, the public markets is obviously by a wide margin the biggest place to access capital in the world. And now with the SPAC, when the companies are ready for the right companies, we can merge our SPAC with them, and now they become publicly traded companies, and it really de-risks the whole going public process.
Wow, it creates like a whole, and it also probably creates like a whole community around it. Everyone knows each other. It's like a constant relationship that creates it all the way through. And and I'm trying to understand now if you can have these like public markets inside the metaverse. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Like metaverse stock markets.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think you already do. I mean, there's some great. One project I love is, do you know Fairmint?
No, I'm checking this out
Yeah.
now.
So Fairmint's is a company where if you're a company you want to raise money, you can continuously raise money and using Fairmint. It's a bonded curve, so anybody can go there, buy shares, and then the next guy who wants to buy pays a slightly higher price. And I think they just announced that they passed $5 million.
Wow, this is so cool. Fairmint.co. Why did I not know about this before?
Yeah,
There's so many things that,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
this is really cool. Definitely given us a lot to look at here. It's so funny. I look at these companies, I look at like figure.com. A lot of them are calling themselves blockchain companies because even though they haven't figured out now, everyone understands that. And tell me if I'm wrong, like when you remove it's not that we don't like middlemen or trusted third parties. It's just if you remove that from the equation, the financial equation, you remove trust from that equation, everyone is happier and wants to put their money in those things in those places.
The way I think about it, man, exactly the way I think about it is, the up until now, the world has always worked by a guy in the middle, essentially guiding everything. And at the end of the day, The guy in the middle solves for himself. And now, for the first time in history, we've got a set of tools to solve for the community. And that, I think, will be seen in the long run as the single biggest achievement in the history of humanity.
Wow, Lou Kerner, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on Untold Stories today. That you've really taught us a lot about how everything works, and I'm excited for the future.
But me too, Charlie. Thanks a lot for having me.
I'll talk to you soon.